If you want to be successful, you want to make sure that you have 20 conversations. Like, to succeed in real estate, all you need to do is just have conversations, right? If you want to find deals or whatever, if you have 15 conversations a day on real estate, you will get lucky. Like what other people say, oh my gosh, you got so lucky, you got so many deals. I'm like, no, just have 15 conversations a day and you'll be good.
This is The Agent Goldmine, where you'll find real talk, shit talk, and ambition. We're here to build real businesses and be more than your average agent. We want to know what the killers are actually doing within their businesses, the reality of it. All tactical, no fluff. So we're here to find out. Please share and enjoy.
Welcome back to another episode of The Agent Goldmine, where Shelby and I are so excited to bring you today's speaker, who is Diego Corzo. Now, Diego, I first heard of you on the Bigger Pockets podcast, and I got goosebumps listening to your story, just like I get goosebumps listening to your story every single time you tell it, which you've told it a million times. So I'm so excited that our audience here are agents. Some of them are investors too, but I am hoping that you are a new name to our audience because your story is so, like there are no words to it, and I'm excited to get into it. But to give the audience a little bit of background, you are Peruvian, as am I. So you came from Peru at the age of 9. You are a DACA recipient, so I'm sure we're going to talk about that as well. You're a Forbes featured entrepreneur. You are a TEDx speaker. You live in Austin, Texas. You are an investor. You are also an agent, and you are killing it on the agent side. You are with Keller Williams. On the investing side, you own 62 units and you work with investors. You just, work with clients of all different types. You've been an agent for 9 years. You personally have done over 300 deals, and you have a team who does over 200 deals a year. And that team is, if I can say so myself, a pretty small team, 8 agents with 2 business partners doing 100 million in 2022. You guys did 100 million with just 8 agents. I want to get into everything. Oh, and to give some more names, your partners, it's you and Victor Nino. So if anybody wants to already start following you, you are, what's your Instagram handle? Let's say this right now.
Yes, is at Real Diego Corzo on Instagram. At
Perfect.
Real Diego Corzo.
Yes. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yes.
Yeah, let's
dig
into this.
That was the best introduction. That was the best introduction. There's so much excitement on that introduction. That's awesome.
I mean it. I love it. I love you.
We're hype. Yeah. Allie's sweating already, and crying. No, I'm just kidding.
You guys are hilarious.
Diego, you have told your story a million times, but I agree with Allie. It is quite possibly my favorite story ever. So would you please tell it one more time, any version you want for our audience?
All right. Now the audience is gonna be like, oh my gosh, now they really have to like it now, right? No, but so yes, as she has mentioned, as Ali mentioned, right, I have 60 some doors. I was able to buy my dream condo this year in PR in Puerto Rico. Freaking awesome. I have a team, sell real estate. I have a few other companies, but the main thing here is a lot of people would say, holy crap, Diego, you have accomplished the American dream. Everything is going well. Right. But I am what Congress calls a DACA recipient or a dreamer, which basically means that I don't have a green card. I don't have a citizenship. I'm here undocumented. But because I came here as a kid in 2012, the Obama administration passed an executive action that basically allows dreamers like me, the kids that came previous to 2007, the opportunity to work and drive. So in a nutshell, so I came from Lima, Peru when I was 9. At age 15, found out I couldn't drive. I couldn't get my driver's license because I was undocumented. At age 18, as I'm graduating high school, 30 in my class, I found out I couldn't qualify for student loans, financial aid. At an age 19, find out I couldn't legally work here in the United States. But I found a way. That's my philosophy. If the door of opportunity is closed, I go through the window. I always find a way, the resourcefulness factor, and found a way to create my own company. That's how I was able to pay for college, doing websites and for nonprofits, restaurants, stuff like that. And that's how I was able to pay my way through college. Then, as I graduated, that's when the Obama administration passes the DACA program, and which allows me to work. So I have my driver's license, my work permit, and that's when GM, the car company, hires me, and they say, "Do you want to go to Detroit or Austin?" And I say Austin because I don't like the snow. And it happens that I also chose, I had no idea in 2013 or in 2012 when I had that interview that Austin was going to be like the hottest market in the whole US for a while and on the real estate side. So fortunately, I choose Austin. I moved to Austin in 2013 and in spite of other obstacles, other challenges. And so I moved there and I started working as a software developer. In between that time though, I in college I had read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. So that got me to wanting to invest in real estate. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do it yet. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I wanted to get started investing in real estate. As I'm reading books, listening to podcasts, I was like, well, I don't know anybody in Austin. I don't know anything about Austin per se. I have no network and I don't know anything about real estate. So if I can learn about real estate, I can get my real estate license that will force me to go out there and meet people and learn the market. And that's when I decided to get my realtor's license and do it part time while still having my job as a realtor. I mean, as a software developer. And so I got my license. I bought my first deal as a house hacker and basically using low money down. So with less than $5,000, with less than 5% down, I bought my property, live with three roommates, living for free, and the extra money paid for my car payment. And then that's when I began to tell my coworkers. And I was like, dude, I'm living for free. This is awesome, low money down. And here's the key thing. I saw opportunity because just like I moved here from college, there were another 300 people that were moving every 6 months from college to Austin, Texas to work for General Motors. And they were all moving and getting an apartment. So then I thought, well, if they're moving to get an apartment, at some point they're going to want to rent a house or buy a house, and I saw that as an opportunity. So I began to teach a lot of my friends about house hacking, investing in real estate, and that was, I would say, my unfair advantage as I started working part-time.
Dude, uh, ch- chills every time. I can't even talk. Like I'm so speechless. Like I love this. You couldn't even drive a car, and then ironically, you work
Mhm.
for Motors at the in the end, right? So,
Exactly.
but like there are some people with like such mentality of I don't know, like just the lack of grit, and the
Mhm.
obstacles that you faced, it they're completely what made you who you are today into the business owner that you are. So I love this. And fun fact for the listeners, I actually just interviewed you about an hour ago on Investify, where we talk about your investing side of this. So
Mhm.
check that out. Craig and I just interviewed Diego. And so when you first got your realtor license, first of all, I guess why become a realtor? Let's start there.
Yeah, for me it was, so I was the kind of person that no matter what, even if I had like a job 9 to 5, I couldn't just go home and watch Netflix. I couldn't just go home and watch TV or go to happy hours every single day and then go home, sleep, and try to do it again the next day. Right. So I always had that hustle mentality. And so I would either look for, even though I was working, I was making $5,000 a month. This is back in 2013 as an intro software developer. I was still looking for other work to do, like on Craigslist. So I always needed something to do to make me feel productive. That's when I saw like the potential of making extra income as a realtor was great, and I could learn about a market that I didn't know, and I could help my friends. At the end of the day, that's what it was. I was like, man, if I could help my friends make some money either way and get to teach them about financial independence, which is something that I began to really like, I was like, this is going to be it. And I was working during lunch. I was showing homes pre working at General Motors, like in the mornings, lunch, evenings, weekends. I grinded some days like 16 hours, but it was totally worth it. And I also, the realtor part was also in a way that I didn't have a cap. I remember seeing some of my coworkers that would leave early, get in late, take a longer lunch, and he and I would be making the same amount of money. And I was like, this is not fair because I know that my work ethic is so much more. Let me
Yeah.
pick an industry, let me pick a job, if you want to call it that, let's say, somewhere where I can get paid by the value and my work ethic that I bring. So that's why I became a realtor.
Thank you for listening. Out of respect for your time, we want to make this show as valuable as possible for you. So if you have any feedback on how we can improve, please let us know. DM us at Allie the Agent and The Shelby Show.
Where do you think your work ethic comes from? Like how nature, nurture, like what are your thoughts on
Yeah.
how that's you?
Yeah. Yeah. That work ethic, nurture, that comes from my parents because when we came to the States back in 1999, we started from zero. We came here with nothing. But they began working at a restaurant and they would take me there every single time. So if you guys go to some restaurants, like some mom and pops, if you see the kids in the back room doing their homework or coloring or whatever, like that was me. So we would take the big TV and watch movies there, or I would begin to help my parents too. But they were a great example for me in seeing that, to the point that when I was 10 years old, I was just seeing my parents work. So I go to the owner of the restaurant where my parents were working. I'm 10 years old and I'm like, hey, if I squeeze a box of lemons for the ceviche, can you pay me $10? And he said yes. So on Saturdays and Sundays, I would go there, squeeze a box of lemons, and I get $10 every time. So so that was a work ethic. That was a thing of seeing opportunity. And then in yeah, like just like that hustle of seeing my parents, they were a great example.
Dude, if I ever have kids, I hope they're like that. Like, I want the kid who is like, if I squeeze the lemons, can I get the money? Like just going forward
Yes.
and like attacking the world. So very cool.
Yes.
Okay, Diego. So we have the beginning of your agent life, which is
Mhm.
2014-ish. You're working part-time, and then we know the end. Well, not end, but
Mhm.
current, where you're a
Yeah.
team leader and your team's closing 200 a year. So can you help us
Mhm.
fill in the gap?
Yes, for sure. For sure. So as I'm getting, and this is one key thing that's important in me becoming a realtor too, my business partner now, who is the other team leader, Victor, before I bought my house, I tried to buy a house too. But there were no lenders that would lend me because of my immigration status at that time. So in him basically helping me as a realtor, I felt bad. This is before me becoming a realtor. I felt bad that I wasted his time. And I was like, dude, we went through the appraisal process. Like we were a week before closing. I'm sorry I wasted your time. We had to terminate the contract. But what happened was we became friends. And I told him, look, I'm pretty good with technology. Let me at least help you do something like let me do something for you. So one day I go to his house. It was on a Saturday, and I see his library books, and he has like Rich Dad Poor Dad, Think and Grow Rich, books from Jim Rohn. So I was like, dude, and those are the books that I was reading. So we became really good friends. And one weekend after hanging out, I was like, hey, can I just drive you around for a Saturday just to see what your realtor life is like? And he was like, heck yes, I get a driver for free. So then I would help him out. I would drive him around. And after 2 weekends in a row, I was like, I can do this. Like I can do this. We wrote up an offer with a client right outside the house. He's in the car. We're submitting the offer. Like I like that. And so that was one of the reasons too. So fast forward to 2015, when I wanted to quit my job, Victor calls me and he says, "Hey, dude, I'm overwhelmed. I feel overwhelmed with everything that's going on. Is there an opportunity that we can partner up, or you want to work with me?" And that was the opportunity that basically allowed me to quit my job as well, because by that time I already bought my house. I was living for free, and part time I was closing one home every 45 days. So I knew that if I can go full time and work with him on his business too and growing my business, I could do a lot more. He was already doing 40 a year by himself. So then, but here's the thing, I call this partnering up with somebody else's unfair advantage. And this is really important because he was overwhelmed with 40 deals and I had time. He had the network and the knowledge. By this time, I probably could have done like 5 deals. I didn't know what I was doing compared to that. But then if he can mentor me, I saw that like I wanted to work for that knowledge. I wanted to just be there and learn. And so then we basically settled on a split, and then he would take part of a commission for him to mentor me on my deals, but then I will take a commission of all of his deals, but then I work them as a like as if I was the main agent, right? But that got me to get so much experience so quick that then in year one, when I quit, and it's funny because I was making $5,000 as a realtor I'm sorry, $5,000 a month as a software developer. And then I quit. And the next month as a realtor, I made $900. And I was like, oh man, hopefully I did the right decision. But it was the right decision. So then fast forward a year later, I'm surrounding myself with like-minded people, with my mentors from GoBundance, and then they recommended me to read the book The E-Myth. So then I read The E-Myth and I go to Victor. I'm like, look, I'm doing everything as a buyer's agent. I'm doing the transactions. I'm doing everything. We need to hire a transaction coordinator and put some systems in the team. He says, let's do it. So then we hire a transaction coordinator, our full-time admin, basically, that's still with us on the team. And so then we start with him. Then a year later, and I'm giving you like the step by step, right?
Dude,
Because
I love it and
this
I
is
want it.
important.
Yeah, we want
Yes,
it.
this is important. So then what happens is I began doing other deals with him, but also my own deals are growing too. So then fast forward like a year or two later in 2019, I tell him, hey, for this year in 2019, let's just split the admin. You do your deals and I will do my own deals. But at least we have the transaction coordinating team. I told him, hey, you don't have to take part of my commission. I don't have to take part of my commission, but let's just be two agents with one admin under the same umbrella. And he said, cool, right? Because he also saw a lot of my growth. And that's one thing with him is he's been very supportive as we have grown. But then what happens is my Bigger Pockets podcast episode goes out and I begin getting a lot of calls. And one of them, his name is Andres Bustamante, he calls me and he's like, hey man, I heard your podcast. It was awesome. We'd love to meet up with you for lunch. And I was like, but because I was getting a lot of calls, I was like, hey dude, call me back in 1 week. Cause at this point I was doing some of the dreamer stuff that I do in Washington, DC. So I was like, call me in a week and and we can talk. I have done that with a few other people and they never call me back. But he called me back and he's like, hey, dude, I heard your podcast again. Super inspiring. When can we go to lunch? And I was like, sure, let's go to lunch. Turns out when he was sharing his dreams and his goals, when I was asking, what do you want to do? He wanted to become an agent. Well, he was already an agent, but he was going to join a team. And he was like, look, I want to do house hacking. I do my miracle morning. I've read these books. And I was like, dude, you're just like me, but literally like he was 22 or 23 at the time. And I was like, if we work together, I can show you like everything. Cause you're just, I was like Aladdin. I'll show you the world. Right. No, but
I was about to
it
sing
was
that.
like,
I was about to sing that.
yeah. So I was like, dude, I bought all these properties, this and that. And huge shout out to Andres, because I think that you guys have already met. But throughout his journey, right, and this is important on building culture with the team, he called me. We just like I poured onto him like anything that he needed help, we were there. And that's when we started the team too. Because at that point with Victor, I was like, hey, dude, I know that we were about to do our separate things, but this is important. I really like Andres. I see potential. How about you meet with him? And if there is potential for us to create a small team, let's do it. So then Andres joins, and him taking action, which you guys have to interview him if you guys haven't done so for this podcast. He ended up buying his first house hack a few months later. Now he owns 4 properties. He's making over 400,000 a year now. He already became a millionaire doing abundance, and he's 27, right? And so it took me until I was 24 to buy my first house, became a millionaire at 29. And for him, it took him 23 when he bought his first house, millionaire by 26 or 27. That is freaking awesome, right? But it all started with him giving me a call and attracting those types of people. I had another call with a guy named Julio, and I helped him buy his house hack, and then later he wanted to join the team. Well, he wanted to become a realtor, and he ends up joining the team, and now he's killing it. He quit his full-time job and everything. But it's all start with attracting people into your life, the right people, rather than go out there and search. We haven't had enough, like we've never gone out there to promote that we're hiring agents. They all come to us, and then we give them like a test trial and stuff like that. But the culture is that we are attracting like-minded people.
Okay, I've gotten so many nuggets from this. The one about call me back in a week. I never thought how I don't know, I never thought about doing that, but that is brilliant because one, it shows how interested they even
Yes.
are. It shows if they're organized to even put it in their calendar to call you back in a week. So otherwise you have to teach them organization.
Hmm.
Like it does so much.
Yes.
Wow. What else
Yes.
is
Yes.
another like vetting process that you do to make sure
Yes.
that you are connecting yourself with like-minded people?
Yes. Yes, this is another one. And it happened that I mentioned Julio. So I remember Julio calls me and he's like, "Hey dude, I heard you on the Bigger Pockets podcast. I would love to meet up. Your story really resonated with me." And so I was like, "Okay, if you want to meet up." I already knew that I was going to be working at a coffee shop because I had a meeting at like 9. So I was like, "Hey, meet me at this coffee shop at 7:30 in the morning on a Saturday." Like I already knew that I was gonna be there, so it wasn't gonna be any issue for me. And for me, it's also a way to be like, okay, Saturday, 7:30 in the morning. So if he's responsible, he may not go out, or maybe if he does, that's fine too. But it's like taking responsibility and see if he shows up. If he doesn't show up, I'm already there working, so it didn't really take away from my time. So he shows up at 7:30 in the morning at a coffee shop. So that was another way to vet.
Dude, do you have anything else? Any more? These are so good.
Yes, there's one other one that I had this person that really wanted to meet me, and there was a period of time that it was like super busy. But then I was like, hey, if you like to run, meet me at this place because I'm gonna be running anyways, and we can chat. And so that was another one too. So, and this goes for anybody here too. It's like maybe you can just go reach out and be like, hey, I know you like running. Let me know next time you're running, and I'll show up. This way, you're not taking time away from them,
Yeah, it's like
right?
it's things that you're
Um,
already doing naturally and things
yeah.
that set your culture apart because most cultures are not meeting at 7:30 a.m. on Saturday or meeting to go for a run. So it's like awesome to self-select because one of my things that I really wanted to talk to you about is how you are getting clearly getting like performers because if you think about it,
Mhm.
most teams aren't, 8 agents closing 200. If in order to close 200, like it's at least 20 agents because I was doing the math and I'm
Mhm.
like, if 8 agents closed 200, that's 25 closings annually per agent. And I'm not sure how the math perfectly checks out, but that's
Mhm.
like at least double, if not
Yeah.
more than what a normal team is doing. And so, would you say that
Mhm.
one of the biggest factors in your team being able to produce like that is that you're like intense unofficial, but like intense screening upfront?
I would say so. For sure, for sure. And then we definitely tell them, like, I don't know if they have these conversations, but I tell them, hey, if you want to be successful, you want to make sure that you have 20 conversations. Like, to succeed in real estate, all you need to do is just have conversations, right? If you want to find deals or whatever, if you have 15 conversations a day on real estate, you will get lucky. Like what other people say, oh my gosh, you got so lucky, you got so many deals. I'm like, no, just have 15 conversations a day and you'll be good. So one of the things that we did is we tell everybody to get on social media, to get their Instagram, to get on their TikTok if they want TikTok, but just Instagram or Facebook, and do reels, not reels, but do stories. You want to do reels? Great. That works even better. But just do stories because you want to stay on top of mind. Like sometimes when people are starting out, I will be like, dude, practice writing 3 contracts a day so that you know about the contract. You're reading the contract, you know how to fill it out, you know all of that stuff about the contract. But post it on social media, writing up a contract. People don't know that it's a real contract for a client or if it's somebody for you. So then next time they see you, you're like, oh my gosh, you're killing it, man. When I buy my house, I want to work with you. It's like, dude, I've been practicing contracts. Awesome. Right. Or I would tell people, go out there and go meet with 5 builders and do stories while you're there and just say, I'm checking out homes here in on North Austin. Homes are between 400 to 500. Let me know if you have any questions so that I can send you the incentives. So now people are like, "Ooh, I want to get to know those incentives. Hey man, saw you that you were in North Austin. Can you send me some of those incentives? What are they?" So the stories also create a level of like interest so that people can reach out. That is also one of the hacks that we do. Yeah.
I want to take it back just a little bit when you mentioned that you and Victor Nino were like both hired a TC, right? The same TC. Was at that
Mhm.
point, was it a full-time TC? And how did you like how much?
Yeah, so he was working, it was full time. So we call him our office manager. It wasn't just a TC, but he was like putting out the keys, the lock boxes, all of the stuff, signs. And so I don't remember the salary that we were paying him back in the day, but after every deal, we would give him $100 as his bonus to cover his like as a bonus just to cover like his gas and then like extra stuff too and for him too because like he was also incentivized to go out there and perform and do a good job, right? So $100 bonus for every transaction that we did and then a salary, I would say. Yeah.
What other so that was that first hire, that was that transaction coordinator and office
Hmm.
manager, kind of like a catch-all type of thing. So over
Yes.
time, how has that changed and has it melded
Hmm.
into multiple roles now that there's so many agents and kind of what does your leverage staff-wise look like?
Yes. So right now we have 3 people in house. We have one that's local, that's our office manager. We have one VA in Mexico, and we have one VA in the Philippines with a company called Cyberbacker. And I don't know if you guys have heard of that company, but they so we pay that company, but they are a vetted VA that knows that's already that either has been an admin in the past or knows about real estate, but they are there and they're working for as a contractor for that company. So it creates some form of leverage too, and they vet them, right? I've learned we're looking for somebody else right now and it's better to work with a company that bets because we've already hired 3 and then stuff happens. I was going to say another word, but and then stuff happens. And they're like, oh, hey, they actually decided not to work anymore. They were checking us out on this way, but, or they say, hey, I'm ready to start. So we're like, cool, let's give them the job. Let's start tomorrow. And they're like, wait, I have to give my 2 weeks notice. It's like, well, then you weren't ready to start. Right. So we've dealt with a couple of those things, which is a little bit annoying. So I think we're just going to move on working with that professional. Again, it goes to the same way, right? Like hiring a professional so that you can get it done the right way and not deal with other BS.
Totally. And the struggle is real when you're trying, you've decided that you want to hire and you know what you want them to do and then you have to find the right person and screen them and train them and
Hmm.
it can just be like, I'll just fucking do it myself. So
Exactly.
love that. I love that with the find someone who's already been vetted. So right now you have the local office manager and I think we have a feel for what that person does. What do the other two virtual
Hmm.
assistants do?
So the other ones now overall is transaction coordinating, helping us out with a lot of just like everything because we have one agent in the team. His name is Lupe, and he has like 25 homes under contract. He just put 9 under contract in the last 2 weeks. And so what's interesting and which is really rewarding too is that, and he's only been doing this for 2 years, and he's like, he's probably when we met, he told me, "Hey, I'm gonna make $1 million. Like, I want to make $1 million as a realtor." And I told him this. I was like, "Dude, I haven't made $1 million. The max that I've made has been 580 as a realtor in 1 year." And I told him, "Victor hasn't made $1 million yet, but we can show you the path because we know how to get there. We just haven't done it yet." And he was like, "Okay, I'm in." And so now, for example, we have agents that are making 700. He's probably going to make 700 or more, like 800, if not get to the million this year. He's been hustling, and but he has a why, right? At the end of the day, is his why too. He has 3 kids, and he wants to give them a great life. And so I feel like right now with the agents, there is still opportunity. The market in Austin has changed, but there is still opportunity for those that are willing to work. I know that in Austin, there's been like 2,000 agents that didn't renew their license and stuff like that. But then we have another agent in the team that has 25 deals under contract. So it's not that there's no deals out there. It's people need to work a little bit harder than they did before. And because last in from 2020 here in Austin, Texas, till April of 2022, it was like everybody and their mother wanted to buy a house in Austin. And if you didn't have 100,000 extra to put over list price, you probably couldn't compete. So it was a lot. It was hard. And then from 1 month to the next, everything drops. Market is dropping too. But now people are still buying. You just have to go out there and find it.
Yo, real quick, this podcast is not free. Cost of admission is sharing with a buddy who'd benefit or throwing it on your Instagram story. Tag us, we'll reshare that shit. Okay, gotcha. So those virtual assistants then, they're basically helping, all of them are helping with transaction coordinating for these agents who are out there and doing, is that correct? Both the Filipino and the...
Yes, sorry, that was your question.
I was
Shoot,
like, did I
totally
miss it?
forgot.
Shit.
Totally
Okay, good
skyped
go.
out on that one. I don't know how we got into the other one, but yes, they're doing all the transaction coordinating. Wow. Wow. Okay. I just got too excited.
Dude, we're excited too. It's
So
good. It was a good segue.
yes.
We're gonna yeah.
Yes. And like when I get to share the successes of the agents, I'm like, heck
Yeah.
yes.
I love it.
So for that, they are doing the transaction coordinating. They're the ones that are submitting the offer, like they're writing up the offers before it gets approved by the agent. They are the ones that are putting the information on the MLS with the listing and all of that. So they basically handle a lot. And then they're also doing what we call within Keller Williams, right? Like to get the green sheet so that we can get paid. They are the ones that are submitting all of the documents necessary to so that we can get paid.
It's funny, I totally forgot about that. So I used to be at Keller Williams, like, back in
Oh, cool.
2018 and the beginning of 2019 when I first started Five Pillars when it was a traditional team. And it was the green sheet, of
Uh-huh.
course, because that's what Keller Williams does.
Yeah.
And then we moved firms, we're at EXP now, and we decided to call it the teal sheet because Five Pillars is, teal is our color. And that became so
Mm.
detached from like what it actually meant that at one point we were doing like consulting with like other people at other firms. And we're like, yeah, you have to fill out the teal sheet. And they're like, what is that? Because it was just such a made up. But anyway,
Yeah. That's funny. Because the green sheet, I would say, is the sheet that you need to fill out so you can get the green, which is the money.
yes, it does make
right?
sense
So
originally. And then we just took it into
Mhm.
space for no reason.
That's funny. But if you have other people using that name and everything,
Yeah,
that's
whatever. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay, so I have an idea of we've got the agents, what they're doing, they're out there crushing it. We have the leverage in the background. So what is your role, you and Victor? What do you guys do with
Mhm.
the team? What's your role?
Yeah. Yeah. So we are there, number one, for support. Like we are still actively selling. I have slowed down a little bit, but more of a personal choice rather than for the team or stuff like that. It's more of a personal choice. The one thing is that we're always there. Victor and I are 100% available for the agents. I've had conversations with them at freaking 6:30 in the morning, 10 p.m. at night, like whenever whatever is required, they know that they can have our support. Every Monday, we have our team meeting at 9:30, and all of the is for an hour and a half, and the agents share what are their wins, what are their challenges, and how can we best help them, like the lessons learned. And this is really good because other agents get to learn from them on their experience, especially if somebody's dealing with one thing and they are trying to, like, they're starting out, they get to hear the experience of other people so that when they run into that, it's not their first time having those conversations or running into those issues. They can just go back, right? And then as a realtor, it's always good to share stories, right? So you'd be like, oh yes, one of the agents in my team was sharing how they backed out because they saw that the interest rate, like, there's so many different things that comes from that. But that's one of the things that we do, is having that team meeting is really good. It's really good. And then we also, after that, we ask for feedback. Hey, how's it going with the admin team? How are you guys doing? We share things that we're learning from either going to events or stuff that we learn on podcasts. We have a WhatsApp chat as well. So that is where we everybody can ask questions, and it creates an open space for people to share. He's like, hey, who has a recommendation for this, or who has the sales rep phone number for this location, stuff like that. So we create an opportunity where everybody can grow in a way that they can build their own business. Because one thing with us is we don't give them leads per se, like we don't buy leads. That's one of the things that's crazy. Out of those 200 last year and 250 homes that we sold the year prior in 2021, everything was by referral or social media, word of mouth. We haven't spent money on Zillow, not for leads or Facebook ads, anything like that. We are going to get started in the future, but for right now, everything has been working with referrals, which until now is the best way to do it, right? Through social media or through referrals, because at that point is you already have that trust, and then they are reaching out to you based on the content that you're doing as an educator, not as a salesperson.
So with not giving any leads, which I personally agree with, especially since your community are those that are high achievers and self-starters,
Mhm.
they initiate. What does a team split look like? And yeah, we'll start with
Yes.
there. What does a team split look like?
Yeah. So we can start with this. If I get a lead, right, and like somebody refers me, if I want to work that deal with another agent, which is what I started doing in 2021, then so because the market was hot, this was the thing too, this was a conversation that I would have with the client. I'll be like, hey, one of the things of working with our team, because the market is so hot, is you get two agents for the price of one. So I'm going to be available, but another agent is also going to be in the group chat. They might be showing you the home, or maybe I will be showing you the home, but at the end of the day, we're going to help you close on your dream home, let's say, right? So if there's a lead that comes from me and I want to work it with the agent, they get 30%. Why? Because, and they are doing everything. They're going to be there for the inspections. They're going to be there for most of the showings if possible. I'm there. I just show up at the closing from that perspective. But the reason why I do this and why it's 30 is because it is not a lead. Like I'm like, hey, they are pre approved. Go out there and show them homes. Like it's a done deal, right? It's not like, hey,
It's a
call them
client.
10 times, see if they respond. Yeah, like it's a client. If it was more like Zillow, that, hey, we have 10 people that reached out, call them, and hopefully one of them will call you and then do a buyer's consultation and all this other stuff. If they're working it like that, then sure, it'll be more. But usually it's like, hey, man, I just got this new client. I'm going to introduce you on a text thread. They want to see homes on Thursday. Are you available? He says, yes. Cool. It's done. They get 30%. And it allows them to keep a certain level of income too. And then if they do good, we know that they're going to do another one with us, right? We also know that if they're doing what we tell them, if we tell them, hey, do two open houses a weekend for the weekend, right? Do your conversations, get on Follow Up Boss and putting your people there, all of this stuff, we reward them. So it's important because this is like it's easy money for them, right? And they get to learn how we have conversations. And I get to teach them in ways that they probably wouldn't have known. Like I remember this one deal where somebody told me, one of the agents was like, Diego, like the agent said that we were not going to be able to negotiate anything because of our offer, but this client, the buyer's requesting $20,000. Like, this is not going to work. We're going to have to cancel the deal, this or that. I don't think we can do this, man. I'm stressed. And I was like, it's okay. We're just communicating to the agent what's happening. He had said that they're not gonna be negotiable on anything because of the offer that we got it in, but we're just showing what happened in the inspection report. And if they say yes, they say yes. So he heard me have that conversation with the agent, and he was like, dude, how did you do that so relaxed? Like, not knowing, like, when I thought he was gonna scream at me and tell me so many different things. And like I already thought that we were gonna be looking at homes for the client again. So it serves as a purpose too, so that we can teach them how to do stuff. So that's that. Then with the agents, depending on their experience, on like how many years they've been with us, they start at 50-50 for the first year. And then after that, there's also caps. So they have an opportunity to make 90-10 after they sell 10 million with us the year prior. So, but it goes 50-50, 60-40, 70-30, 70 to the agent, 80-20, and 90-10. But they have to perform. Now, what that allows us is that we've gotten agents that the more that they sell, they begin to also work with other agents. So this way, for example, Andres, I know he recently had one where Victor, like the team gets the 10% because he's already at a 90. He gets 10% for the team, and then he gives 30 to another agent and he makes 60, right? But he didn't have to do much because the other agent is working the deal. So we have those agents also doing how we used to do it. And that's pretty rewarding too, to see that. But we do have that up. And it's because we want them to build their empire within our empire, right? Because if not, they're gonna go out somewhere else. If they're like, well, every deal is 50-50. If I bring one, if I do this, if I do this, everything's 50-50. And I know that some teams do have that, but I'm more from the perspective of like, hey, how can you build with us and continue growing? That's my philosophy.
Yeah, it makes sense. And it's clear that you've structured it in a way that makes sense to the people in your organization, and they're finding because the performers are staying. You mentioned Andres was your first agent back in the day. Now he's assumed this new role of being able to lead someone
Mhm.
else and kind of have the flip-flop version of the mentorship versus the mentee. So very cool.
Yes, 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 and thankfully we've been able to work with like some really cool people. So we have helped some people from Bigger Pockets. We've helped people from Go Abundance, Jason Drees. We've worked with Cody Sanchez, like some really cool people.
Yeah. That's a lot of
So
opportunity.
that's been very
Yeah.
rewarding too. And one thing that I'll have to say with the culture of our team is we always do what is right. We always do what is right for the client. So there's, and we see them as as a class, as a lesson. So I've taken the I forgot to include the curtains on the non-realty item, and now we have to take that class. That we have to buy the curtains for the buyer. I've made a mistake of forgetting to put that the fridge on the non-realty item, so I bought a fridge. And my biggest mistake, my biggest lesson was a $50,000 lesson. And but I did what was right, and they're still recommending me people. They love the way that I work. I helped them buy another house recently, and that was really good. That was
You
really good.
can't leave us hanging.
50,000. Yep, you gotta.
We have to know
50,000.
when it was.
50,000. You have to know. Oh man. It was a mistake that I did because it was a new build here in Texas. You don't have to provide a warranty on a new build. It's not necessary. But the realtor told me that it was coming with the new build. She told me, we have the email. She sent me all of the documents of the home warranty, the 1 to 10, like 1 being like on the cosmetic, 2 anything between the walls, 10 on the foundation. Well, the last day of the option period, of the inspection period, she tells me, "Hey, by the way, you didn't put the warranty on the contract, so we're not going to give any warranty." And I was like, what the heck? It's 2.2 million. It's a VA loan.
Oh.
So the VA loan, it was so anyway, this was for a very important client. I messed up. I tried to do everything that's in my power to get this to work. It was the most stressful time in my life. And that is when I learned that I don't even need the money. Why am I doing this? Right. So
Yeah.
then I was so stressed. I didn't eat for 2 days. Like if you talk to Andres, he was like, dude, you haven't eaten in 2 days. What's going on? Like we went to eat and I was like, it was like 4 p.m. I wasn't hungry and he's eating his big meal or whatever. And I'm like, let me just have oatmeal. And I took 2 spoons and like, he was like, what's going on? So,
Oh my.
but that was the most stressed that I was. And then I realized, okay, I was able to fix it. I was able to, but it did cost me from a perspective $50,000. I had to take it out of my commission so that the seller can agree to certain terms. And at the end of the day, it was that the seller was salty that because they put the home on the market unstaged, it didn't show it as well for being a multi-million dollar home. So we submitted an offer right under asking. But as soon as they staged it, they got 2 offers, 100,000 over asking. So she was doing anything that she could do to get out of the deal. And so it wasn't helping all of this. And but it was my mistake and we were able to make it happen. And I share that story. So from now on, anytime that there's a new build or something like that, yeah, I tell them, hey guys, make sure you put it on the warrant, like put that on there. And it's funny because we worked with them again, and their response was like, hey, let's make sure that on this contract we don't ask for we don't mess anything that will f up the deal. And we're like, you got it. We're gonna pay extra close attention to like everything. But at the end of the day, it was something that escaped from me asking for the warranty, but it would also goes to the agent who basically said we were going to give you the warranty. She sent me the document stating what type of warranty we were getting, all of that stuff, and then she backed out. So, but again, what counts is what's in writing, right? So, yeah.
Wow. How did the second transaction with them go? You know, cuz like a lot of people, I don't know, I feel like a lot of agents don't realize you can do another transaction with them again. So maybe don't be unethical
Yeah.
your first transaction.
Yeah.
That cuz that might be your only one.
Yeah.
And so how did that second
Mhm.
one go?
The second one went very smooth, but and it was a new build too and everything. So that's when she said, "Hey, let's make sure you don't f up." And we're like, "Yes." But again, we provided great service. We showed them all of the homes that they wanted. We analyzed. We got another great deal for them too. We negotiated the crap out of it. And yeah, so that was really cool.
I would have been like, make
That
sure you
was really
stage it.
cool.
Make sure you stage
Right?
it nice.
They were really happy though.
Good.
Exactly. They were really happy. The home was, yeah. I mean, I feel like they did get a great deal. I worked
Yeah.
that one with Andres again. So it was good. It was
Yeah.
good. And they're gonna be recommending more people in the future. They really like us and everything. It was a genuine mistake, but because we did what was right, no
Mhm.
matter what, they wanted to work with us again.
Apple listeners, this short pause is to ask you for a review. Here's how to do it. Back out of the specific episode, go to the page where you see all the episodes, scroll down, keep scrolling. Perfect. Now tap those 5 stars. Thank you so much. Back to the show.
Yeah. It's in instances like that, it's so easy to go either one of two ways where some people get their emotions so involved in the transaction as if the listing agent is the seller themselves because they're getting the heat from the seller, right? Like seller's
Hmm.
mad. It could have gone for so much more. What the heck, listing agent?
Hmm.
And listing agent is just projecting all of it to everyone that they can. And it can
Hmm.
trickle over into future, I'm going to say transactions, but really lack thereof. Like there's so
Yes.
many times where actually I can think of one time specifically here in Tucson, an agent with a pretty big name. I submitted a verbal offer and he texted back and he was like, "You've got to be effing joking if you think we're ever going to accept this." 2 weeks later, I was like, "Okay, cool. This guy is an noted. I have a list." And so 2 weeks later, he texts me back saying, "Hey, is that offer still on the table?" Like, no, sir, it is not. Like even I don't know. It's just
Hmm.
I don't know. Real estate brings out so many emotions, and it's the realtor's job to like get rid of that emotion. Be a counselor for their client,
Yeah.
but then also just do the transaction between agent to agent. And
Yeah.
a lot of times people just think it's we're at war when really we can just work together, and
Exactly.
all
Exactly.
make
And you
money.
never know. Exactly. And you never know how many deals you're going to do in, like, what other deals you're going to do in the future, especially if you're going to be, especially like if you're in this for the long run. It's all about
Mhm.
building relationships and working. Like, I have won deals because they're like, oh my gosh, I see the last name. I used to know Victor. I used to be in Keller Williams and do this. That is you who I see on Facebook when he tags you. And I'm like, yes, oh, I would love to make this work. Right. I've gotten that. Then there's other things. One, I was representing the buyer, the listing agent was representing the seller, and she called me after the transaction and she's like, wow, you really fought for your client. Like, you did such a great job in communicating, in not being like just in holding your energy and everything. I'm gonna be retiring in the next year or so. So whenever I get referrals, I would love to send them your way. I was like, this is awesome, right?
Yeah.
Because then people see that I truly care about helping others and creating a win-win. At the end of
Mhm.
the day, it's a win-win. It's not a, if you have that philosophy of like, oh my gosh, like, I'm gonna like get like make them bleed kind type of thing, like that's not the best philosophy for the long run.
Yeah.
I've gotten builders that they like, I've worked with a builder rep and they call me later and be like, hey man, the daughter of the superintendent had a bad relationship, had a bad like issue with this agent. Would you be able to represent her? I saw how caring you were with your clients, blah blah blah. You showed up, you asked the right questions. Can you work with them? I was like, heck yes. Right. So it's just out there.
Yeah. That's so cool. So looking ahead, what's next for you and what do you envision your team going in the next like 5, 10, 20 years?
Yeah. So we've been the number one team in our office for the last 3 years in our Keller Williams Market Center. We are going to continue to push to continue building that. I see the team growing intentionally, like growing with intention and with purpose with the right people. But I also want to make sure, like, we want to grow as a team too. Like, for example, yesterday, and here's the cool part about the team is that 90% of them are either real estate investors too or house hackers or everything. So whenever a house hacker calls me or whatever, like, they're working with a team that knows the numbers, that knows how to invest, that knows so many different things. And we've done it too on buying, selling, all of the stuff, like personally. So where I was going with that is like, we want to continue working with the right people and growing in a way that we can help the agents continue to grow their business. And one of the things that we're doing is that we are analyzing in talks to see if we as a team can create an LLC where we begin to build homes in South Texas, because there's a lot of opportunity there. And if we can create an opportunity to build a 34, like 34 homes or something like that, and be able to rent them out and create passive income, that will be awesome. Like, we've had one agent already become a millionaire. We want to help other agents become a millionaire too. So I want to get them to continue to say, hey, I'm being a realtor because I get to be a realtor, not that I have to sell a house and that's why I'm being a
Mm,
realtor.
very cool.
So So
I love
yeah.
that you said you want to grow your team intentionally. I think that's so smart. Words of wisdom right there.
Yeah.
If you have a team you're looking to grow, that bigger is not always better, less is more. If you have the right people and you can grow really intentionally and keep your culture intact, like boom. So, Diego, last question before we go to our wrap up is any words of wisdom, maybe you're looking back now and something that you wish you knew back then that you want to share with the audience?
Hmm. Something that I wish back then, I would say, I mean, for not that I wish is something that I've done is like stick to what you maybe try different things, but stick to what you really enjoy. I would say, and people will be like, dude, sometimes you have to embrace the suck it up and do it. But I'm like, you that can only take you so much for maybe 6 months to a year. But pick something that you can get leads, talk to potential clients, but something that you enjoy. For example, I don't call. I wouldn't be able to call. Well, I would be able to, right? But I don't take much enjoyment in calling FISBOs, for sale by owners, all of that stuff. But if you get me on a networking place, I would get clients from there. If you get me to like, if I go to a meetup about financial independence, dude, I would get like I've gotten clients from there just by me saying, "Hey, like this is what I've done. This is what I've done." We schedule a lunch, and then boom, now I'm helping them, right? So social media, take advantage of that. Like if social media is gonna be your thing, go all into social media. Some people go into farming. So what I would recommend is pick the one thing and like stick to it for the next 3 years.
That's super smart. I like that a lot because you can first of all that creates uh, like sustainability, like there's only so long where you can do something that you just despise doing or that like you don't feel you don't get enjoyment out of. So, okay, let's head to the wrap up questions. What is your favorite app or tool, whether in your personal life or business?
Favorite app or tool? I would say, I mean, with our team, we use our CRM is called Follow Up Boss. That's one thing. But I mean, I would say Audible. It's an app that I use a lot just to get knowledge. I'm a big believer that like there's so much knowledge out there, and us as realtors, if we're driving, if we're showing homes or whatever, we should be taking on as much podcasts, as much information as possible so that we can continue learning, right? So in Audible, one like a few great books, 7 Levels of Communication, The Go Giver. There's other books on real estate, right? Like I feel like getting that education is key.
What events are you going to this year?
Ooh, all right. So, shameless plug. So, I just did an event for my FI Investors Mastermind, my community. We had 25 investors, some were realtors, and that just happened last week in Austin. And I'm going to be doing one in the future in Puerto Rico next February. So, I'm going to be at that event in February. I might be going to the Bigger Pockets event. I'm gonna be doing 29029 with Jesse Itzler and like the crew over there. Like he's doing an event where you have to climb the elevation of Mount Everest. Not climb, but hike the elevation of Mount Everest. I'm gonna be doing that. I am speaking in Orlando in 2 weeks. I'm gonna be the keynote speaker at a Spanish at an event that's gonna be in Spanish for realtors. They're expecting around 100 to 120 realtors. I'm gonna be the keynote speaker. That's gonna be awesome. And then I'm gonna be at the Real Estate Rockstars with Aaron and Muchastegi next year. More than likely gonna be at the Go Abundance event in January. And yeah, I bet you I'm doing so much here in the next couple of weeks. I mean in the next month.
Yeah, you are.
That's it for right now.
Yeah, I'm tired listening.
That's
Yeah.
I'm like,
awesome.
wow.
And
Yes.
then that doesn't even include all of your trips to Puerto Rico just to enjoy your condo. So,
I'm gonna be there next week for a week to enjoy my condo. So
yeah,
yes.
I might crash.
Yeah.
So,
Yay.
so you're in Austin, Texas. So if anyone listening to this ever has a
Yes.
referral to hit you up, how aside from referrals, how else can we help you in your business?
Ooh, aside from referrals, how else? Well, if you guys have anybody, this will be the first time that I share this because it's something that we're working on, but with FI investors, right? Like you guys have heard my story. of house hacking, everything, starting as an investor, starting as an agent. So one of the things that we started doing is, as a realtor, right? If you're helping your first person house hack, if you teach them right, they're going to be a client once, twice, three times, maybe more, because you've helped them. Like, once they see that they're making passive income, they'll be like, how can I, like, I want more, right? So I had some people that I've helped them buy 3 homes, and then their roommates are like, I want to do the same thing. So one of the things that we've done with a couple of realtors is they can pay a discounted fee for somebody to come to the mastermind, to join the calls and everything, where we teach you how to buy your first property or your second property with accountability and everything. The first month is free for the attendee, like for that client, but the realtor pays. And if he stays, he's getting so much knowledge on what to do that that client is going to be like, holy crap, I'm really looking forward to buy my next house. So it's like you putting it in a way that we teach them, and we teach them about financial independence and real estate, how to buy their first home, everything. And then they come back and they become a client for life.
That is super cool. Listeners, if that resonates with you, you have to, first of all, regardless, you have to go follow Diego at Real Diego Corzo on the gram. And Diego, where else should people go if they want to get in touch with you, or just Instagram?
Yeah, well, Instagram, they can go to the website, thefiinvestors.com. That's the FI Investors, and it stands for financial independence. They can send me an email, info@diegocorzo.com. I reply to almost everything. So
Love it,
pretty
guys.
good.
Do it. And you know that if you want to hang out with me and Allie, we are Allie the Agent and the Shelby Show on the gram. We want your feedback. We want to know how we can improve, who you want to hear on the show, what topics you want to deep dive, all the things. And just a reminder, Diego is going to send us actually, this is not a reminder. This is the first time you're hearing it. What's it called with the house hack? What's the thing, Diego? What are you sending us?
I'm gonna send them the 3 steps, the 3 stages to getting your first house hack that agents can share with their clients for free 99.
Boom, free 99. All you have to do is go to theagentgoldmine.com for that free resource from Diego. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. You are like the world's coolest person. Both of us love you. And listeners out there, be a bro and share this show. Bye, guys. Thanks so much for listening, dude. If you want the golden nugget that this guest provided, see the show notes or just go straight to theagentgoldmine.com. That's where we keep all our resources for you. Till next time.